Remember, we had to like have a competition to see who can get through the walls and all that. So the whole thing was like you bust through the window, run through the window, then you go in, then there's going to be a wall there. You're just going to bust through the studs and the sheetrock, crawl through that, find another stud, sheetrock, go through that, and come through. Who gets out the fastest, right? That was fun. I definitely got a huge cut on my back from the wall falling on it, but yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, we'll get some stuff on that. Well, welcome back to Triple V. This is great. And I have the pleasure of sitting with my friend, Delvin Bourn.
Thank you.
He is the Delvin Bourn. He knows Jason.
He's his big brother.
He's the big brother.
I got all the money. He got all the money. I got all the looks.
He got all the looks. That's exactly right. There we go. Awesome. Man, it was good to see you. I remember we've known each other for how many years now? Like
for about 5 years.
5 years, man. Yeah, since I became an entrepreneur, I've known Devlin, and like we've been running around different type of circles. But this is awesome. But before we even talk about business, you're a veteran yourself.
Oh yes.
Which branch were you in?
I was in the Army.
He was in the Army. It's okay.
Yeah, but I wasn't in a regular Army. I was a Airborne paratrooper, so I was in the 82nd Airborne.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a little bit above the rest of the Army. So we jump out of airplanes and things like that.
Yeah.
Because we're usually the first one that gets called when the Army gets called up. We're usually the first ones that get called up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So, yeah.
So technically, you should be 6'7" because I know you guys shrink.
No. When I went in the Army, I was 7'2". Now I'm down to 6'5".
Oh man, life is hard.
Yeah.
Coming from the bottom, I'm 5'9". That's just short. I'm just a short guy. So,
yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think most of the guys I know who jump out of planes, like they get like compression on the spine over a period of time. It actually shrinks them a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Couple inches, right?
Yeah. Because your spine gets compressed, and then your knees, all your joints lose all their cartilage and stuff, so you just get a little bit shorter.
Yeah, you don't even think about it when you're young, though. You're like, whatever, jump out of a plane, fuck it.
Yeah, especially when you get into that, you're like, well, I'm not going to live forever. And then next thing you know, you get older, and you're like, what happened? What?
I honestly say, like, I'm nowadays, like, sitting like this is uncomfortable, right? I'm surprised I got to this flexibility, but I was like, man, I wasn't supposed to be 35 years old. Holy shit, this is painful. This is
35. You're still a baby.
I am a baby.
Because like I said, next year I'm going to be 61.
61?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, because like I said, because one of the things that happened to me, I was on a jump and I broke my pelvis in 3 places.
Broke your pelvis in 3 places?
Yeah. Yeah. So
how long did that take to heal?
I was in the hospital for 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
And it grew together wrong. So
break.
Yeah, so I'm 6'6" on one side and I'm 6'4" on the other side. So it evens out to 6'5".
Oh my gosh. How long were you in?
I did about 14 years because I was medically retired.
Oh, they forced you out.
Yeah. Yeah, because I couldn't, after I broke my pelvis, I couldn't run and do sit-ups no more because it crushed my L4 and L5.
Oh, man.
And it grew together wrong. So, like, when you try to run and put rucks and things on like that, it just doesn't work.
It wasn't working, especially. And they couldn't move you to, like, an admin role because there's still standards you're supposed to keep.
Right. So, yeah.
Plus, that would be miserable.
Yeah, and plus, when you're in those RDF units, you don't want to go to a POG unit.
No.
It just is not fun. Because they tried to put me in some of those, and it just wasn't fun. It was more, how do you put it? It was a...
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. It just wasn't fun.
I was a terrible garrison Marine. I'm horrible at the garrison deployment. Being in the field is a lot easier because you know what to kind of do, right? When you're deployed, I mean, that's just your life, right?
Yes.
And you did how many deployments did you have?
Well, roughly around 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said I did the first Gulf War. I did Panama. We went to Somalia. I was in Kosovo, and then we did a lot of stuff down south, in South America.
Yeah, so you already know, like when you're deployed, like that becomes your life, and you don't really think about anything else, right? And then like, it's funny because like the people who are shitty being back, or people who are really good being on field when they're back in, you don't give a shit about this stuff.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't care about this uniform thing. Like I'm cool with working out and all that, but then I remember we went to because we were on a fob the entire time. And then when we went to like the main base and all that, they were like, "Hey, why do you have a magazine in your rifle?" I was like, "You mean in Afghanistan?
Yeah, why don't you?
Why do I have a magazine in there?"
Yeah, why don't you have it in there?
He was like, we're safe here. We're not safe anywhere. Are you serious?
Yeah,
the garrison mindset, it's wild.
Right. You know, it's like, why is your weapon hot? Things like that.
Why is your weapon hot? Why are you wearing white socks? Like all the things, right? Like, when's the last time you got a haircut? I was like, I don't remember the last time I saw electricity. So
exactly. When's the last time you took a shower? When's the last time this?
We didn't even have showers. We had 6 water bottles a day. I remember that. And it was like, one of them was for hygiene, or 2 of them were for hygiene. One was for like our MREs and the, man.
Yeah, no, I remember we got this heater that we stuck in 5-gallon cans.
Yeah.
And then they gave us this canvas shower. So it was a 3-man operation. So one guy would stand on the truck and fill it with water and hold it up. And you'd stand there and get under the shower, and then the next guy. And once you got clean, then you get up on the truck and hold it for the next guy. It's just,
different life.
Yeah, different life,
I missed the baby wipe. Like, you had to send the baby wipes. You're like, this is it. You have to, like, it was just like the deployment baths, armpits. Like,
right. And, and some of the stuff you miss because, like, doing laundry, you get a 5-gallon bucket, put the lid on it. You just put your clothes in there and put some water in there, some detergent, drive down the road. And then about an hour later, you dump it out, put some more water in it, drive down the road. Then about 3 times, you'd have some clean clothes.
You know what's so funny? Those were easier times.
Yeah.
That's what's wild. That was the easier time.
Yeah, it was a simpler time. You didn't have, everything was just there. And if you need it, like with us, if we'd be out on a mission, we'd like when we were in Saudi or in Iraq, we'd just stop at a truck stop, get some stuff. We'd stop at a restaurant, maybe, because I remember we'd stop and they'd have chicken and rice. We'd get a big platter of chicken and rice. We'd all just eat with our hands and stuff.
I do miss the food over there. It's weird. Like, every other country, like, there's street food and just like regular, like, this stuff is good. It's like,
well, and then, they'd bring out the water pipe, and then after you'd eat, they'd get the water pipe out, and, you'd have a little hookah or something.
A little hookah over there. You're like, this is the source.
Right. So, just little fun things like that, you just got used to it,
Yeah, a different life. And then, man, when did you get out?
Oh, I got out around 98.
98.
Yeah. Because like I said, I'm an old man. I'm 61.
Oh, 61. And what'd you do when you first got out?
Well, when I first got out, because like after being deployed, I had a lot of opportunities, but I just wanted to drive a truck. I wanted to be away from people. So I said, let me just go drive a big 18-wheeler because I can be by myself, drive at night, don't have to be around people. And I really enjoyed that. And I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then in around 2014, my arms and legs went numb. And I was like, oh, what happened? And so I went back to the VA. I thought maybe it had something to do with me breaking my pelvis. And they're like, no, there's something else going on.
Really?
Yeah. So they decided that I have an autoimmune disease where it eats my nerves.
So it was wearing out the nerves, like shutting them down?
No. The myelin, the coating on your nerves.
Yeah.
It eats it.
No.
So, because like you need your nerves to be tight. And once it eats it, they don't conduct. And then once they don't conduct, you don't have a feeling.
So it's just like loose wires.
Yeah, just like loose wires. So my arms and legs went numb. And so it took them a while to figure out. They sent me to different places. Finally, they sent me to the RIS, War-Related Injury Resource and Research Center over in Palo Alto, California. It's a kind of cool place. They send 2 veterans a week. And there's 8 doctors sitting there, and they throw your medical records in there. And then one doctor's like, well, this is what I feel. Neurologist, what do you think? Gastrologist, what do you, so they, rather than send you to the specialist, they're all sitting right there, and they do it. And I had these 2 Chinese doctors come in, neurologists, and they're like, we figured out what's wrong with you. None of us have ever seen it before. We've read about it in books, but we're going to help you. I was like, that doesn't really make me feel comfortable, but let's do it.
We've never seen it before. I've never dealt with it, but I got this. All right, screw it.
Let's do it. So, they they put me on these treatments. They give me what they did is they give me somebody else's immune system. So now for the rest of my life, once a month, I have to go to the VA for 2 days, 4 hours, and I sit in the infusion clinic. Most people there are getting chemotherapy.
Yeah.
I'm getting IVIG. And they put it in me. It takes about 4 hours. So I take a nice little nap, and it's somebody else's immune system that fights my immune system, so my body can kind of heal.
How does that work? It's like donated, like a donated immune system, or
yes,
like they bring in someone else's white blood cells or something.
Kind of. It's the process is like if somebody gives plasma, they put it in a centrifuge, and what they told me, there's a yellow line. They take that out, then they put it in these bottles with sugar water because it's very viscous, it's very thick. That's why it takes 4 hours to put in, because the bottles I get 50 or 20 grams and 50 grams because I get 100 grams a month.
So they're pumping you with human Kool-Aid?
Pretty much.
Okay.
And then the other thing they give me is I get anti-rejection drugs.
Anti-rejection, so that way it absorbs it actually.
Well, no, what it does is because to slow my immune system down, it just suppresses my immune system. Because like if you have like a lung or heart transplant, they lower your immune system so that it doesn't reject it. So when they lower my immune system so that this works a little bit better, and it's been working for 14 years. 14
years? Do you notice like an improvement with your health, or is it like kind of stay the same every time?
Well, right now, it's kind of weird. I feel like a teenager for like 3 weeks, and then I feel like I'm 85 for a week, and this is just my life, So, because a lot of people are like, you don't act, I said, and like one day when I got done, I said, I don't feel good. I just looked at my nurse. I said, look, don't give me the old people stuff. Give me the young people stuff.
The young people stuff?
Yeah, because, because I could feel the difference. I don't know, what it is, but when I put the, because the IVIG, I call it my love juice. Because when they put it in, man, I just feel so good. But like I said, the one day I didn't feel really good, so I just figured it was some old people stuff.
You gave me that elder.
Yeah, I was like, no, put this in there. So, pumped it
in. All of a sudden, you start like see things from the 20s. You're like,
yeah.
Right now, I don't understand.
Yeah,
it's like,
no.
I go to roll my own cigarettes.
Roll my own cigarettes.
That's funny. You're like having flashbacks of like trench warfare in Germany. That's young people juice. That's funny. That's good.
Yeah, no.
I'm glad you're on that. So it's beneficial.
Yeah, and it was so funny because I remember when the first time I went in there, my nurse, he was a retired Air Force. I think he was a master sergeant, but after he retired, he became a nurse. And I was sitting there getting it. And after, because at that time I was getting it 5 days a week.
Man, that's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
But then again, you weren't working because you're doing that, right?
Well, because like with driving a truck, because that's what kind of messed me up is, so I was going to all these research things.
Yeah.
Because like my disease is called CIDP, chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. And it's kind of an orphan disease. So there's not a lot of research on it, because not a lot of people get it.
So you're like subject zero.
Yeah. So they like people to, to test so they can see, because basically what CIDP is MS upside down. Because MS works everything from the neck up. CIDP is everything from the neck down.
Oh, wow. So
if you know somebody who has MS, I have all the same symptoms. It eats the myelin because that's what MS does. It eats the myelin on the nerves in the brain.
Okay. Yeah, I have a friend. There was a possibility she could have had MS, and like she just lost her vision one day.
Yep.
And it's like neck.
Yeah, because what it does, it eats the myelin on the nerves, on your optic nerves, or things like that.
Man.
And that's basically what it does with me. It just eats my nerves. Works from your feet. Works from your feet and your hands up, and then eventually, what it does, the nerve, like for your heart, it eats that, and your heart quits beating. Or the nerve where you swallow, it eats that, and you can't swallow. So I got a lot of good stuff to look forward to.
Oh,
that's why I just love my life, man.
Yeah, ever since I've known you, you've always been like a bright person, like
Yeah,
always
because
happy,
like,
joking, and that's because what you can't really do anything else except for like smile about it, right?
yeah, because like I said, you don't got, because like what they say, you got two wolves. Which one are you going to feed? Because I could be depressed or I could just be happy, and because it's a lot more fun, it's easier to joke and laugh, because like I said, there's a lot of people, oh, poor me. I'm like, man, poor me. Because and it's so weird because with this, it's actually opened a lot more opportunities for me because when you have a more positive attitude, it's funny how more doors open for you. Even though you got these diseases, I hate to say it, my quality of life is actually a lot better.
Yeah. I always called it like the fuck it meter, right?
Exactly.
I have some point in time, you're like, I think it's when you have like all the time in the world, you feel like procrastinating or you actually care what people think. But when you have like that something that is looming over you, you're like this, I have barely any time left and I got shit I want to do. I'm going to get it done.
Exactly. Because, I don't know. I know I'm not going to have the old years, because something will probably happen to me. Mm. And so I gave myself a timeline, so I'm like, man, I got to get everything that I want to do. I've got X amount of years to do it. So I don't have time to waste. So, like me and my wife, we go on trips, we do stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you only have this one life, so you want to do the best you can. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff wrong, but my quality of life is actually better because it gave me a chance to put a time. Okay, I've got X amount of time. So I've got X amount of time to do this. So I do it.
Yeah.
I don't like, well, I can do that tomorrow. I can do that. No.
Don't put that shit off.
No, you don't put it off. I got to do it today.
Yeah. And that's the reality is none of us have a promise for tomorrow. Like we can leave this place right now, right? And something crazy can happen. Like the freaking fault that makes Red Rock cracks and then everything starts sinking underneath. Like the San Andreas fault breaks and now we have oceanfront property in Las Vegas because all of a sudden everything gets washed out, right? There was no promise that we were going to be here tomorrow, right? Him recording over there is a complete waste of time if that happened, right?
Right.
But we enjoy him. We enjoy him quite a bit.
Right.
You're not a waste of time. You're a fantastic individual. The time we get to spend, but the work wouldn't even matter, right?
Right.
But if we all lived realizing that the next breath is a gift, we would get so much more done because we realize our life can end at any point in time.
Oh, exactly.
Right? And the beautiful thing about having that looming over is you get to kind of look at life with the reality right in front of your face, so you can take advantage of it.
Right. Well, and see, the other thing, I don't mind being a research or a guinea pig for different things.
Me either.
So, if they have hey, Delvin, you want to try this? Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. Let's
see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I read a couple TBIs. So one of my friends is like, hey, man, you want to try there's some good therapies out there, like with psychedelics. You want to try it? And I'm like, yeah, I do.
I'm in.
So I'm in. So,
I am the habitual I'm in guy. Like, someone calls me up like, hey, can you? I'm in.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? It doesn't matter. Where are we going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Give me a location and a time. I will be there. And unfortunately, he was, we were recording the other day, and I told him some of the stuff he was doing. He's like, how do you even fall into this?
Well, no.
Because I always say I'm in.
Yeah, no, because that's what's so funny is, like, I'm 60. I've got all these things wrong with me. I've got TBIs. I've had cancer here. I've got crap with my thyroid. I've got, aneurysm here on my heart. Ugh. I've got aneurysm here. I have broken pelvis. I got CIDP. I've got all this stuff that should make me just want to sit on the couch and suck my thumb. But now I'm like, let me go do something.
Let's go do some stuff.
And, because like I said, I tried different things. I started a nonprofit. I'm doing a couple businesses and things. And my friends, they're like, so how do you know how to do that? I'm like,
I don't.
I'm like, I don't know. I said, I got my PhD. Like, oh, you got a PhD? Yeah, public high school diploma. I said, because one thing about being in the military, you learn to work the problems.
Yeah.
Because like with me being in the 82nd, they drop us off a week before everybody else with no support. So dude, you just work the problems.
That's it. Yeah,
You know,
you make the foundation of what you guys are going to do when you arrive. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because like I said, you're not sitting around like, oh, these guys are going to show up. No, 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 no. You got to figure it out. You know, you got to set up all this stuff. And so, you know, it just teaches you how to be more resourceful. You know,
No,
and that's what I said, you know, and my friends, they're like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I just figure it out.
I think I get that because I was with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, and like when you go in, it's funny because you don't realize it when you're the first one in, you are setting the standard for everyone else.
Exactly.
So like when I was sending up like. You have to send the reports that everyone's calling up, right? And then all of a sudden Intel will send you all the stuff you just sent them back because they have to send it to everyone. Like, wait, I gave you this shit.
Right.
Like, how is it now secret? Because you were the one that found it out. I was like, oh, that makes sense, right? So, okay, I give you information, then you waste my time by sending it back to me, but now it's encrypted. Exactly. Cool. That's really funny. But like, you try and create the standard, and that actually works out a lot in the entrepreneur world when you jump into it, because what do they say? When you become an entrepreneur, you want to find a problem, something that you're good at, and how you can charge for it. That way people can have their problem solved and you get paid for your time and expertise.
Oh, yeah.
You're jumping right into something that is unfamiliar and you just figure it out and then work out the kinks, you know?
Right. Yeah, because, you know, that's like with me, you know, after I couldn't work no more, I jumped into a lot of nonprofits.
That's what happened, like, after you got done with the truck driving?
Yeah. So, you know, because, like I said, I was sit at home. I'm like, God, I got to do something. So, you know, I got into some of these nonprofits. I did some veteran stuff. I worked with some churches. And I became a commander of one of the veterans organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny. So it was right after COVID. And I'm the commander. And I get a call from the Nationals like, hey, Commander Bourn, where's your AFR? I said, what's AFR? Annual financial report. I'm like, what's that? Where do I get that? Well, it's just a report of all the stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. Where do you get that? You're supposed to do it. I'm like, okay. And by the way, you're 3 years behind. You've lost your IRS nonprofit status. You've lost the status with the organization. So, you need to bring all this up to speed. I'm like, okay, how do I do it? They're like, you just got to go and get all the numbers and figure it out.
Really?
And I'm like, how do I do that? Is there somebody that can help me? No, it's just, you got to go out there and go get all your bank accounts and get all your credits, all your debits. And
I love how the government tells you need to do this when they know exactly how much you got paid and how much you paid for. And
right.
They're like, oh, go figure it out. Or
well, and this is a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So we couldn't take donations or anything till we got this figured out.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm like, all right. So I call a lot of other people and they're like, well, do you have a copy? I was like, no, we have nothing. Nothing. They're like, well, if you have a copy, we can help you. But if nothing, we can't really help you. I'm like, okay. So luckily, my wife was an accountant. She's like, it's going to take us quite a minute. She said, I figure it'll take us about 100 to 200 hours to figure this out.
100 to 200
I'm like,
hours.
okay. So, we did it. And we went back for 3 years. We had to go back and reconstruct everything.
Yeah.
We did that. And then after we got done, then we had to go back to a CPA to certify it. And, they said, the IRS is probably going to fine you about $30,000.
Oh my gosh.
Because you guys didn't do this and all this stuff. And I'm like, so I just gulp. I'm like, wow.
How everything just changed like that.
Yeah. So, I wrote, me and the accountant, we wrote this nice letter, how we got into the situation, COVID, while during COVID stuff happened and all this stuff. And, about 3 months later, we get a letter from the IRS and says, yeah, you're reinstated. The National, they said, yeah, you're back in business. You can start taking donations. And oh, by the way, since you did all this stuff, we understand. We're not even going to charge you a fine.
I didn't know I was going to get fined anyway.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. That's good.
It's like, I didn't know I had that gun behind my head.
Right.
You're not.
Yeah.
Trigger.
So, after we did that,
fuckers.
But that's where, I learned about how to do that.
Yeah.
And then people start coming up,
asking you questions.
Yeah. They're like, well, hey, I got this nonprofit and we got some problems, man. You figure this out. Can you help me? I was like, yeah, we can help you. And so, we started helping people.
So it wasn't the overall plan, but you had the experience now and you were just trying to rotate that over. You're like, you know what? I might as well just do this.
Yeah. Because after we did it, when you first do it, it's very daunting. You're like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
But once you do it and you look back, you're like, it wasn't that bad.
Because you did it now.
Yeah. Because like when people say, oh, the IRS, I'm like, you can work with them.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah, they suck. But if you talk to them and you find the right people, they'll work with you.
They'll work with you.
And then, so like I said, people kept coming to us and so me and my wife, we decided, we're like, hey, let's start a nonprofit foundation. Because I said, you're good with accounting and we can do this other stuff. And then we met our business partner. He does stuff with websites and social media and so we're like, well, I think this would be a good thing. So one of these guys came and I asked, would you like us to help you set up like a website, do your social media and help you with grants? They just went, oh my God, that's everything I hate to do. I was like, we kind of enjoy doing that. So, the first one we worked with, they fell in love with us. And then, cause like I said, we started last March doing this.
Yeah, I remember the conversation over at MVP. We're in the Octagon. You're like, I'm trying to get this thing started.
Yeah, I was trying to get it started, and so yeah, and the first one that we started working with MVP. Like with MVP, we helped them with some stuff, and then MVP asked us with our nonprofit if we could help them grow. So we donated $10,000 to them to open up a second gym and things like that.
And that's why we have the Cheyenne gym now.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have two gyms. Because
two
we're able to
gyms.
help them out with the finances and getting the grants and getting stuff available.
Yeah, because like if people don't know, MVP is a great organization. Merging vets and players. We help with vets. They work out for an hour, and we go in the Octagon and do peer to peer and talk about it. Because like I said, it's different than talking with your therapist.
Yeah.
Because like it's so funny. You get this guy, they're going through stuff, and they're like, oh. Like they're going through their first divorce. It's kind of daunting, but then they look around. Hey, how many of you went through a divorce? Everybody's hand goes up and they're like, oh, wow, I'm in the right place. And, it just makes you feel better that you're with your people. Right. And, then you build the bonds and things like that. Then right now, we work with Task Force Canine. They do service dogs. They've got German Shepherds, Dutch Belgians and Belgians, right? Because like in November, they gave away a dog at Randy Couture's event. They gave it to an Air Force veteran.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and on Thanksgiving Day, they gave away a Belgian at the Ravens game on the 50-yard line.
Nice.
I
like how he does it too. He just picks up the dog like, here's your problem. Then.
Yeah. Here's a dog. Yeah. But the other time at the Ravens game, they had it on their shoulder.
On the shoulder.
They took it out there and picked it up and put it on the other one.
I love how these dogs, this is what happens when you can't talk.
Yeah.
You just get tossed around.
But, what was so funny is because like the dog, they give away, because I work with them. So I got to know the dogs.
Great dogs.
Yeah, they're so and it was so funny. So
he works with them real hard.
Yeah, but it was so funny as the dog they gave away, his name was Sage, little Belgian, and they had her vest, and she came up, put her head on she looks up at me, she goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna miss you. every time I see you, you're always nice to me, but I'm going someplace. I don't know where I'm going, but it's like we had this little conversation with the dog. It was she just was like, you could just see she was sad because she was leaving.
Yeah.
Because they have these little personalities, That's why I like working with them, And then the other ones we work with is Hometown Heroes. They work at, they give veterans, they do tailgate parties at the NASCAR events.
Nice.
So you go out in the morning and have a tailgate, so you get there early, so you ain't got to deal with the traffic. Then you go to the race, and when the race, they have another tailgate. So when the traffic leaves, you're gone, so you don't have to deal with the traffic. So that kind of really helps. Then the next one we work is Field by the Fallen. If you've seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, Kevin Howard, that was his foundation, but he passed away in February. But his wife Tiffany wants to continue it. So what we do is we helped her with that. Because we just did a poker run with her. It was fun. She had all the angel cards out there with all the names on there, and
that's awesome.
So yeah, and then the other one, we helped Team Red, White, and Blue. They had an event up at Eagle Valley. It was a 3-day event. So what we did, we furnished all the food for them, and we had 34 veterans and their family up there, but we had like 18 kids. So we took the kids and we had some kayaks out there and we took them fishing. And then every morning, get out of your tent and go get a nice breakfast and then go grab your fishing pole. It was so funny. I had my 3 grandkids. I think they caught like 14 fish. And then it was so funny. I had my little 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
She'd get fish. Hi, this is Toby. Hi. She named every fish.
Yeah.
She made me laugh so hard.
Naming the fish. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think there's a comedian that talks about that. He's like, I like to go to Red Lobster. He's like, hey, can you give me that one right there? And let me know if you had a nickname.
Right. Yeah, no, that's what it's fun,
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, because that's what I like about it, because every organization I work, they're trying to help the family grow and do that,
And there's always a uniqueness about every nonprofit. You realize there's nothing like cut and dry. There's something.
Yeah.
There's something that there's a passion involved that makes them want to attempt this, and they want to share it with the community, right?
Oh, exactly. And see, that's what I like about Born Free, because like I said, we do their websites, we do their social media for them, and then we help them get grants. Well, over time, every week we have like an hour meeting with them. And as that goes along, we kind of know their whole mission and we kind of become part of it. It's kind of cool,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about, is just working with the organizations. And then what we do is once a month, we get all of the nonprofits together, and then that way we have like a little coalition that we can talk about it. It's like, what are your pain points? Where do you need help at? And, I had that problem a couple years ago. Here's what we did to do it. So, we build a community inside of a community.
Nice. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break to talk about a little bit of our sponsors and everything. All right.
Sure.
And break.
This segment is supported by Spec Ops Water.
So Spec Ops Water is built by the movers and shakers of the industry. It's military, first responders, police, and every single can, 25 cents, is donated to first responders and veteran nonprofits that are vetted and about the cause. So thank you again to Spec Ops Water. We really appreciate you. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Welcome back. So you were talking about a coalition. So it's almost like a support group for nonprofits, basically. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, the reason we started this is because most of our nonprofits, our nonprofits are veteran nonprofits. And, the reason I started this, I need something to do. But the reason we do this, because like a lot of the nonprofits, the veterans, they thought about suicide. But the reason they started their nonprofit, because they need something to do.
Yeah.
Especially in the veteran community, because if you don't have something to do, our minds wander. So that's what, we do is, the main focus for everything that we do is basically suicide prevention and to help veterans grow. Because like I said, when you get back from combat and things like that,
Yeah.
they don't teach you how to do it. You got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And plus it's easy to, make people, if, they focus, and it's easy to train you to work together.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get out, you're all individuals, and you all have your own individual problems.
Yeah.
And it brings up a lot of different things. So like with these nonprofits, that's why it's so neat. They're all individuals. And, that's why I like doing this, because it's cool, because you learn a lot of different things that are different, that different people do that are different. And I know that sounds weird, but
Different things do different things.
right.
Different strokes, different
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah. That's why I went in the Army, because like I said, I was just a good looking guy in the slow class.
Good looking guy in the slow class.
Yeah.
I got this. Yeah.
Got this.
Yeah. Give me some gear. Give me a
Yeah.
paycheck.
Let me jump out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, because like some of the things that, that we do, one of the ones I really enjoy, and like I said, a lot of the people that I work with, I met through like MVP, because like one of the ones that has really helped me focus with this, because, with TBIs,
Yeah.
it's really hard to stay focused.
I know.
And one of the ones that I really like working with is soul miners. Because I work with two nonprofits that works with psychedelics.
Is everyone redheaded there?
What's that?
I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, psychedelics. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I work with the Nevada Coalition for Psychedelics.
Nice.
It's John Dalton. It's an organization out of Reno. He's taken 1,500 veterans down over the border to do different psychedelics like ayahuasca or psilocybin, and things like that.
Humo?
What's
Maybe
that?
Humo, like that frog stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that too? Wow.
Yeah, because they go all over. And we're trying to get the laws passed. Because right now, in the last session in Nevada, we got it. We had all the senators and assemblymen pretty much on our side.
Nice.
But at the end of the day, they're like, well, we need just a little bit more data. We had stacks of data, but, because in Nevada, it takes every 2 years for the assembly. So now we got 2 more years. We're going to work with it. But what's nice is now we're working with Governor Perry and 2 Luttrell brothers in Texas. Marcus and his brother. His brother's one of the, I think he's a senator.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do is get more research for him. Because right now, John is working with Texas. They're trying to get $50 million just in research for psychedelics for Texas veterans. And we're trying to get $4 million for Nevada veterans. Because like I said, it's kind of crazy how this stuff works. Because I just had a phone call from a gentleman. His son's 19 years old, never been in the military, but he got hit in the head pretty bad playing football. And he got TBI, and the dad was totally against this. He's like, I ain't going to send my kid overseas to do psychedelics. That's...
You're like, first off,
Yeah.
you don't have to cross the sea. It's Mexico. It's
Right.
attached.
Right. He's like, that's not what this is about. And I'm like, well, I said, it's not, we talked to him and stuff like that. So I had some people get on the phone and talk to him that's went through the experience. I personally went through the experience, and then we gave him some data and there's some Netflix specials. And then he's like, wow, I didn't know all this stuff. Right. And now his son just signed up to go down there. So, because here's what his son told him. He goes, look, Dad, he goes, I don't want to commit suicide because I'm sad. I've got a great life. He said, there's just something off. I just would like to commit suicide so they could open up my head and look at my brain and see what's wrong with me. And the dad was like, what?
That's a wild thing. So you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'd rather have you have them.
Yeah, I'd rather have you,
Mushroom pizza real quick.
Yeah. So, because like with Ibogaine, that kind of helps bring the fibers of the brain and stuff. So, I can't wait for him to go down there and try it. The dad's excited, and, I'm excited for both of them. Because like I said, I've just, because like out of the 1,500 guys that went down there that John took down there, dude, they all come back and feel like they're cured after one time, and that's kind of the reason, that why I got into this also, because like I said, I've went out and did some mushrooms because like I said, I really didn't have focus.
Yeah.
I didn't have a idea what I wanted to do, but I was out in the desert in Arizona. One of my brothers was doing it, and I didn't know why I wanted to do it. I just knew something wasn't right. And so we did some stuff to get me prepared.
How do you get prepared for something?
Just get you in a positive state, because you don't want to have a bad trip. You want to have a good experience.
So no like horror movies right before.
Yeah, no horror movies, nothing like that, right?
No McDonald's.
Yeah. You want to eat a clean diet, like some salmon, some fatty omega acids, things like that.
Don't wear Crocs.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So, so I'm like, all right, this is cool. So then it was time to do it, and I didn't really know what to experience because, because like the military, they tell you to suppress, push it down.
Yeah.
Well, I got a lot of stuff I pushed down, so I'm not sure what's going to come up.
Yeah, I also worry about that as well.
So, I'm like out there, and it's like, this ain't too bad. It's out there in nature, the river, the mountains, the stars. Like, this is pretty cool. And then all of a sudden it starts kicking in, and we had 4 facilitators out there taking care of us. What's it called? I threw up 5 times because, like I said, my body was just getting rid of stuff, and I was like, oh, they cleaned you up, and it was just like, this is kind of crazy. But what was really, really something that really triggered me, and it really helped me with my disease also.
Yeah.
Because when I was in the first Gulf War, my mom passed away. She had cancer. Yeah. So I knew she was going to die. And me and my sister, while I was in high school, I'd take care of her and all that stuff. So when I'm laying out there, cause like so this is like 30 years later, I hadn't thought about my mom, because like when I went home, she died December 19th. I flew home, buried my mom, and went back. Cause the air war and stuff. So, just kind of forgot about her. So I'm laying out there in the desert. My mom's face shows up. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And my mom, she goes, Delvin, I've been watching you for the last 30 years. I'm so proud of you and your sister. And I'm like, whoa. I didn't know what to think. And what was really crazy is one of the facilitators was a female. She's seen what I was going through. So she came up and gave me a hug, right? And I hugged her back. And I just started talking to her like she was my mom. So while I'm going through this experience, I'm talking to my mom, which is actually the girl. And, the one thing my mom told me, that really helped me with my disease, because like my mom, she was because we're from Nebraska. So my mom, she was like a country girl. She's a big girl, like 180 pounds, right?
She's a Cornhusker.
Yeah, she's a Cornhusker. Because but like the day she passed, she was like 80 pounds.
Man,
but she told me something. She goes, look, Delvin, when you leave this rock, you're going to leave this broken body you got. And then she gave me a glimpse of what's going to look like on the other side for a second. And it's hard to explain, but it's like it was like a lifetime I seen in a second. And that gave me a perspective is like, I can do whatever I want because this is where I'm going when I'm done. So
This is the trial run. That's what I always say.
yeah. And so that's one of the reasons why I started this. Cause I'm like, I could probably try this. So what if I fail? And, you know, and what's scary, and right now the scary thing is growing faster than I thought it was. And people are coming out of the woodworks wanting to work with me and stuff like that. I didn't expect this. But that's where that's what the beauty is. Because I'm like, let's just figure it out, man. You know, this will be all right. You know, whatever you want your nonprofit to look like, you know, like with Task Force Canine, you want your dogs, dude, let's, you know, because like we took 4 dogs up to Mount Charleston one night. We made this amazing video and one of the veterans told the story. And when we show that video, people cry. And I'm like,
Sarah McLachlan style crying.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And that's what I'm
Angel.
yeah. No, and like I said, and there's no music, it's just somebody telling their story.
The stories are that's reality.
Yeah, and you know, and that's what, you know, and that's one of the things we want to do is have people tell their stories and let us know, you know, and do things to change the world, make this a better place and things like that.
That's the whole purpose of Triple V. The whole reason is to show people stories because the stories is where the life is. That's where you get to see the history and what everyone is pushing forward, seeing that purpose that everyone, and I'm glad that you're a part of that.
Yeah.
Part of that mission because you were one of our first supporters when we were trying to go into this.
Yeah, no, because, you know, and that's like you said, Brenton, he came to me, you know, because he wanted to do his nonprofit. I'm like, dude, we not do that.
He's like, that's my thing.
Yeah, I
right?
do that thing. That's my thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so we helped him do his nonprofit and get his EIN and that stuff, you know, and that's when people, they're like, dude, how do you know that? Just know.
Just know how to do it.
Just know.
I've walked this path before.
Yeah.
Come with me. And that's what.
And see, that's what with veterans.
Yeah.
Dude, we don't have to know everything, but we can figure it out.
Yeah, we've both been in the same place, maybe not in the same block, but we know the area.
Yeah.
And
we can figure it out.
Yeah.
And when you get a bunch of them together, you can figure a lot of stuff out.
I know. It'll be a creative way of solving the solution. Or finding the
Exactly.
solution, yeah.
And, you know, and that's why I love working with veterans organizations because, like, you know, because it was so funny. Like, one of them came to me and they're like, Delvin, I'd like to do a kid's book.
And what?
A kid's book.
They want to write a kid's book?
Because, you know, about service dogs.
Okay.
I was like, dude, let's do it. Let's find an author and you know, let's start a YouTube channel and do this stuff. So we did it.
Hell yeah.
You know, because like I said, you know, we didn't have to do like, oh, let's do this report. Let's do this. Dude, let's just test it.
Yeah.
Try it for a little bit. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. Let's try the next thing. Right? You know, we do it the most cost-effective way we can do it. And that's why people like to gravitate towards us because, you know,
You're about the project, not about the bottom line.
Yeah, because the Marines probably like the Army. What do you guys? We use it's called the KISS.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that's our philosophy. When somebody comes to the problem, we don't like overthink it. We think of with the most least resistance to get the biggest bang we can.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly.
Kills the dreams.
And you know, and that's why they like it. You know, because like when somebody comes to us, you know, we have. It's called the walk, crawl, run method. You learn that in the military, you know. And, you know, we have it. We do a lot of shapes because it's so funny. It's because my business partner, he was a contractor in Afghanistan and Iraq doing government contracts. So like if a helicopter went down, they would come to him. He'd write up the contract so they get a new helicopter, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So he knows how to do all that. So, and one of the things, when I came to him with Born Free, he's like, yeah, I can work with you. But he goes, I know you're an Army, but he said, we need to kind of make you like a Marine unit. I'm like, what does that mean?
We take away your money.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it.
No. That's what he told me. He goes, I've worked with the Army, Air Force, and Navy. They've got these unlimited budgets. But the Marine Corps,
3 cents of the defense dollar.
exactly. He said the Marines, they got a big bar on steel. So he goes, when we
Tactically acquire. We don't steal shit.
exactly tactically acquire. I apologize. We tactically acquire. Right?
Tactically acquire.
Exactly. And so that's what Born Free is. We do everything we can to tactically acquire everything that we can. We try to keep because everything we do is we get donations and we try to do it as the most reasonable way we can.
Of course.
Because that's the way it has to be. And that's what it's so much fun to do that.
It's a problem-solving thing.
Yeah, it's a problem-solving thing because, it's so crazy. Money does solve a lot of problems.
It does, but it's not always
But
there.
it's not when you don't have it. You just got to go out there and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said,
That is like the story of my life. Figure it out.
figure it out.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, and this sounds weird, but it's the end result to me is more beautiful because, like I said, it's just the time and energy that you put in it. You didn't have to use a lot of money, and you're like, wow, we did that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's like when you make a homemade cake. It might look like shit, but you care more about it. And kids care more about it
Exactly.
because you made it, right?
Right.
And the effort was there. The appreciation was there. The love was there. And that's what you're doing for all these nonprofits because every nonprofit, there's a huge chunk of it is a love for something in the community.
Yeah, because most nonprofits, they're love projects.
They are love projects.
Yeah, and like I said, and like with ours, they're all veteran nonprofits. And the way I look at it, when I talk to most of them, they've all had suicidal ideations.
Ideations, yeah.
Yeah, and they've been, but this is their thing. This is their thing.
It is their thing to resist the call of the void, as I call it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so anything that we can do to help them to grow, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I like doing this.
For me, it's like, I know a lot of people think I'm a confident individual. I'm not, right? I just don't hesitate to jump into a project. It's
Right.
not because I feel like I'm going to succeed in it. I might fail miserably, but at least I'll gain some experience from it. But if you ask me to do something, I'll totally do it because you asked me to do it.
Yeah.
I'm maybe not the best person for that project, but I could be the best support that you can have because I will be there, and that's sometimes all you can do.
Yeah, because what's that? Fail fast and fall forward or something like that. Because, you want to get in there and just see what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It may work or it may not.
Mm-hmm.
If it works, continue on. But if it ain't, this ain't where I need to be, you can quit and go on to the next project. But if you're over and analyze it.
And analysis paralysis.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you look at the problem, and the funny thing is there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat, right? But if you're looking at all 1,000 ways, you're never going to skin that cat. That cat's just going to be looking at you the whole time. We shouldn't skin cats. Let's throw that out.
Yes.
But yeah, you know exactly what it is.
There's no cat skinned.
There's no cat skin. There's no nonprofit for that because there's no love in skinning a cat. But you have to just jump in sometimes. Like you have a door, there's an opening, jump through it because you don't know what's going to happen when you get through. But as long as you start moving, that's the best choice you can have. You can either go through the door or you can not, right? But if you're just sitting there kind of riding that fence, that's the worst option ever, right?
Oh, exactly.
It's either back up or go forward. Don't stand still because that's the worst decision you can make.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like I said, you just got to keep moving forward. And that's what we do. And that's like with me, the reason I keep moving forward is because if I sit and think about all the stuff that's wrong with me,
yeah,
I'm like, oh my God, but I don't think about it and I just do it.
Yeah.
And then it's, it just makes me feel good.
It does make you feel good.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a conspiracy theory, but I feel like, they have all these streaming services, all these video games and all these ideas of getting like a 9 to 5 and doing all that stuff. But what it does is create someone that is comfortable with being stagnant. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then like with all the stuff that's been going on in my life personally, it's kind of removed the stagnation of my life because getting home, like you look forward to working all day, getting off, and then just going home and sitting down and just vegging out with the family and doing that, which is great. You have family time. But if you do this every day, 7 days a week, you're not making any forward progression with your life except for what you can do at work, right? Being the best employee possible. And when it comes to people like you and I, where the one thing the military does give us is an idea of drive, of problem solving, of having a lot more resources, because you're 18, 19 years old, just all this stuff gets dumped into you, all these skills, all these things, and like you're expected to solve a problem all the time. And then you get out and it's like, oh, well, get a job and just figure it out. You lose purpose in your life.
Right. And see, that's why I think a lot of veterans
Gravitate
towards entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurship, because it's nothing but problems. And you're like, I will solve all of them.
And like I said, and plus, you know, you have like the most amazing day one day. The next day is like, this is the most depressing. Why am I doing this?
Oh my God.
Then it's like, wow, this is why I do this. You know, and you know,
I know that.
you know,
Eat a scoop of peanut butter a day. That's all I'm eating for like 2 months.
Right.
Oh, I get it.
and yeah, and you know, but like I said, but everything that you do, you own.
You
Right.
own, yeah,
You
and that's
own it.
that's what people don't understand, especially with their career employees, right? They love that slave collar. People hate that I say employment is a
Oh, yeah,
slave
yeah.
collar, but it is, because even if it's a shiny slave collar, you're still under the oppression of the guy that's his dream. He was the entrepreneur. He's the one
yeah.
that created this. You're helping him achieve his dream, and you're getting, I'm sorry to say this, scraps, maybe hundreds of thousands of scraps, but it's still scraps, and it prevents you from really reaching the potential of what you could become. Now, not everyone can be an entrepreneur.
No.
It is definitely, you have to be a little crazy. You have to be creative. And you have to be kind of a glutton for punishment.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's like with me. I just remember I was sitting in there with a neurologist, and they were beating on my legs, and I had no reflexes. They were beating on my elbows. I had no reflexes.
Might as well just get tattoos now. You're like,
Yeah.
I feel nothing anyway.
Yeah. And you know, they had he was a resident. He looked like a football player. I mean, he was bringing it, just whacking me. And the doctor, he finally was like, look, dude, just stop. He don't feel anything, right?
Guy doesn't even work here.
Right. And so, and then he looked at me and he goes, you know, you're done. And I looked at him like, all right, what does that mean?
Yeah, you can't just end with that.
I mean, what does that mean?
Am I done with this appointment?
Yeah.
Done with
He goes, no, you're done with your career. He said, because with this disease, you probably can't work no more because you're uninsurable. Nobody wants to work, you know, no employer wants to hire you because no insurance company wants to insure you.
Yeah, because
You have no feeling.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
So you're saying I have to make something for myself?
yeah. And so I'm like, what does that, you know, and I just kept saying, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I said, you know, how do I feed myself? How do I survive? He goes, you just got to figure it out, dude. I'm like, what do you mean I got to figure it out? You know, because like I said, I think I was 50% with the VA.
Ugh.
So, you know, I had a little money coming in, $900.
I was about to say that's $900 a month. Yeah.
So, you know, I had all this stuff going on, and I was working for a company, and they gave me 3 months with that disability insurance.
Yeah.
And then they said at 3 months, it was supposed to be long term. So, you know, you're dealing with all your health issues.
Yeah.
And then at the end of 3 months, they gave me 3 months. And then when I went to the long term, they said, oh, you don't qualify for long term because it's a pre-existing condition. And I'm like, what? What does that mean? Pre-existing condition. I said, I'm just started these new, and you know, I'm like, I don't know. I just figured I was going to go someplace and die or whatever. So I'm like, I'm just going to focus on my treatments and try to get healthy, and then I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Right. You know, because it's like everything was just overwhelming,
Of course.
you know, you know, and, I just, I remember, I was 3 months behind on everything and I got rear-ended and, my truck was only worth like $3,000 and the lady goes, well, I'm going to give you $3,000. I said, ma'am, this ain't gonna do nothing for me because I can't replace it.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, if you give me $100, you can keep it. I was like, sweet. Because it messed up the bumper and stuff, so I could still drive it. I was like, sweet. So I took that money and I paid the 3 months on my house. Because I was just about ready to lose my house.
Mm.
So, you weren't just sick. All the stuff that you worked for, you were just about ready to lose. So I'm trying to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
And back then, the VA, they were kind of slow on everything. So it took them, this is in 14, it took them about another 18 months for them to get me to 100%. So I was living on $900 for 18 months.
I'm working on that process right now. I remember
Right.
Brent was looking at mine. He was like, why do you only have 6 claims in here? And he's going through. He's like, you're supposed to have like 62. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't file this thing. They like clump everything together.
Yeah, no.
Saying that you are not that hurt. Even though like when I get a migraine, my eyes shut off and I can't see and I can't walk and all that. And like I'm as high as you can get on migraines, but like that left me to 60%. And that's only one thing out of all the different things that I got, right?
Yeah, no. And once they and what was so funny is the doctor, she goes, yeah, you got CIDP but I can't connect it. I don't know how that's connected to your service. And, this is before they came up with the burn pits and all this stuff. And my unit was part of this place in Iraq that they sent us a letter that, we were part of this chemical plume. And I had that letter. For some reason, I said, I better keep this. This looks important. So I said, will this help you? She goes, you're connected. I was like, sweet. And, but yeah, no, it just is crazy how this works, you get hurt. They tell you all these things, but it's never in a chronological order, right? Oh, you're hurt. But then, how do you survive your life? How do you do this? How do you do that?
You just do.
You just do. And, and that's, like I said, that's why I started this Born Free.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's these are all the things that I learned in my life about this,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
wisdom is gained 2 ways, right? And it's like, I'm actually writing a book about it. It's called, it's about the lessons from the splinters. And the reason about it is you can learn wisdom in 2 different ways. You can either see a tree, right? This guy, he put a beautiful tree back here.
That is a gorgeous tree.
It's not going to work for this analogy, but let's imagine it was like an oak tree, right?
Right.
Now, I could run face first into that tree, right? And I will tell you from firsthand experiences, that fucking hurt.
Exactly.
Okay? I'll have splinters in my face. My nose will be rebroken. My eyes are all messed up, right? I now know I have gained wisdom and understanding that fucking was a dumb ass idea. That's one way to learn wisdom. The second way to learn wisdom is find the guy who has scars all over his face from the splinters he was pulling out and ask him if it hurt.
Exactly.
It may not be as strong, but he already walked it. I could learn that way. And that is the best way to do it. And so it sounds like when it comes to Born Free, you already went through a process. You already went through all the hardship and all that. And you're kind of helping these guys not have to go through that because you helped us out a lot. When it comes to paperwork, you know how much I like doing paperwork? Zero, right? I don't even want to look at paperwork. I don't even smoke weed because you have to roll.
Dude, I'm with you, brother. I am totally with you.
I'm joking. I just don't want to, but that actually works. I don't like paperwork, right? So,
I don't either. That's why I do edibles.
there you go, right? but with that, it allows people to actually focus on the mission. Right?
Yes.
Focusing on the mission, screw the other stuff because you guys are going to be able to take care of that. And is there like a vetting process that you have for nonprofits? Like because we all know that there are nonprofits that pop up out of nowhere. They have they say all the right things, but they're not actually focused on the mission. They're actually just trying to get that stuff.
Yeah, because like I said, that's our next thing. Because when we first started,
Everyone, you're like nonprofit.
well, no. Because when we first started, a lot of people are like, because we do everything for them for free, right? We do that, so people are at first they were like, okay, what's the catch? It's like, bro, there ain't no catch.
Someone got me with that. They're like, I just need you to be a guinea pig.
Right.
You're like, all right.
Right. So, we're working on because we got a lot of people, so we're putting on our website, that, and then that way we can do some research because we have some researchers on to do that. Because basically what we want is somebody that's raw, that doesn't have any money, that's really struggling,
but hungry.
Mm-hmm. Because like I said, that, they have that heart, the heart of a lion. They want to do some stuff. It's just, they need help.
Yeah.
And, because like I said, that's what we're about that's what we're born free, baby. We're born free because what we want to do is help people, because that's what slows people back is, you're like, how do I do this? What do I do? And I come in like, man, you do this, you do that. Right. Oh, wow. And then you help them and then they achieve things. It's like, wow. And then you continue working with them, because like one of our nonprofits, they work with old vets with Alzheimer's and, we just help them, because he's an 82nd guy too, like I was. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, how you know how to work with old people? He goes, how you know how to do what you do? Oh yeah, I get you, bro.
Just makes sense.
Yeah. And, that's why, and like I said, that's what we do is just work with people who are hungry.
Nice.
And, but yeah.
So if any nonprofit is like watching this, how do they find you specifically? Like, I know I see you out in the wild all the time. Like randomly, I'll see the hat. We have the same style hat. Today I'm not wearing it, ironically. But yeah, I see Devlin like all over the place at Paparotti, MVP, any type of these things. Like they can find you in the wild. You guys can start to talk, but like, how do people find Born?
Yeah. The easiest way is just go to our website, bornfree.org.
Right, bornfree.org.
Because like I said, we're not Borny. We don't have an E in it. It's BOURN free. .org. And like I said, it comes out and has all the organizations we work with and the things that we do.
There's like an intake form or anything like that?
Right now we don't have it on there because like I said, we've been working with 12 nonprofits. So we're just getting them all set up. So for 2026, we're going to, in January 1st, we're going to put up a new form because our goal is to bring 6 nonprofits on a year.
6 nonprofits. So right now it's very personal. Very
yes,
right there.
Yeah, because I want to keep it that way because, I don't want to grow big. I like this small
slow burn.
Yeah, I like the small intimate also.
I'm with you on that. Like
because
most people I try to meet, I meet at coffee shops. I rather just talk with them and then get into a conversation.
Yeah, because but that's why I like because everybody that does a nonprofit, they're not doing it for the money.
No,
they have because like, dude, I just love listening to their story.
Right? There's always a story too.
Dude, get a cup of coffee and just listen to their story. Because like I said, I'm invested with all these because it's like every nonprofit I work with, I can tell you their story because we sit down and like I said, because like Task Force K9 wants to give me a dog. I'm not really ready because I lost my service dog. So I'm not really ready for that yet.
Yeah, I get that.
I work out with MVP. I do all the stuff. So I me and my wife, we become part of that nonprofit and they become part of us. Right. We just did an amazing event at Vet Fest. We were working with the Southern Nevada Chamber of Commerce. Dude, we had 61 booths. We had the ice skate rink. We had the Christmas tree up at Summerland. We had a farmer's market. And the whole time, nobody could talk to anybody else in their booths because we always had somebody there. That was so amazing. We had some soft music playing in the background. And it was just a great vibe. that's what we want. Where you can go and you just feel like you're at home.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I just want people, I just want it to be when you say born free baby, I just want people to say, oh, I feel like I'm born free today. I just want you to just have that vibe,
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's where I'm at.
That's good. No, it shows like there's a lot of passion there. It's funny because the passion you have is to help other people find their passions.
Exactly. And, because like I said, I found my own passion, because like I said, I had some guys some people who helped me. And, and I try to remember them and I just had a lot of people that reached back and helped me. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Is help people. Because like I said, when you're on this rock, when you leave this rock, from what I've seen, it doesn't matter how much money you got here.
You don't get to take it.
You don't get to take it because nobody has a U-Haul on the back of the hearse. It's what's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Because from what I saw when I was on psychedelics, on the other side, the more love you got in the heart, it's going to be more beautiful on the other side.
Yeah.
And, and for me, that's where it's at, and, because it's so funny is people that know me, they're like, what's happening to you? You're becoming a hippie. I said, no, I ain't into all that hippie dippy shit yet, but I'm heading that way.
You're like, do you see a camper van? Come on. So
it's not my future. I still am going to glamp, cause like, being airborne, we sleep on the ground a lot. So camping ain't really my thing. So
I'll tell you something. Sleeping on the ground is still the quickest I ever fall asleep. I don't know what that is about that, because I try to sleep on like couches and like on the bed and all that. It still takes me like an hour, maybe 2 hours of sleep. I sleep on a hard concrete ground. I'm out in like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, because where I fall asleep the best, I'm laying next to like a running river.
Running river.
And dude, that's just like knocked out.
I don't know what it is. I think it's my brain is like trained to like, all right, you better get some sleep because who knows when the next time.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's just the military in general.
Yeah.
Because like, I wish I, had a camera of all the weird places all my soldiers slept.
Oh my gosh. I think about that all the time because Brenton asked me, he's like, hey, you have any pictures from when you were deployed? I was like, no. What the fuck am I taking pictures for? So,
yeah. No, the best
about it. Yeah.
No, it's so funny is like when we went into Iraq,
yeah.
It was like 3:00 in the morning. It was foggy, and somebody hit the brakes, and we had 3 trucks. We got into an accident, so we had 3 trucks, and they all 3 needed radiators. So they're like, Sergeant Bourn, you, Little Al, and Grebe, you got to watch these 3 trucks. We'll probably be back in 3 days to get you. We didn't have no radios, nothing like that, because this is 1990. We didn't have all that stuff, right? So they left me, I think I had 20 rounds of 60. I don't know how, I think I had 22 5.56 rounds. I had some incendiary grenades, some frag grenades, a couple laws, and then I got a picture of me with it, and then I got my K-bar in my mouth and stuff. That's the only picture I got.
It's a good picture, though.
Yeah, no, it's a great picture. But it was so fun.
Christmas card, right?
Yeah, no, it's so funny is because, like I said, so we just sat there for 3 days, and we just watched the B-2s flying over and watching all this stuff going on, and we're like, are we missing anything? I was like, yeah, we're missing some stuff, but I think we'll be back in the fold here in a couple days. Sure enough, our chief showed up with 3 radiators. It took him about 3 hours to put the radiators, and we were back in the game.
Nice. All right. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you want to talk about?
I know, like I said, it's just like the thing that I really would like to do is, because like I said, with us being a nonprofit, the other thing about nonprofit is, we work on donations. So if you go to Born Free, we could sure use some more donations. And, the other thing we're working on is getting some more. The other thing that we're working on is do some fundraising. So we're looking to get some volunteers that would like to work in the fundraising field to help us with all our nonprofits to do different fundraising events, because I didn't think that was fun, but like doing these different events, it's a lot of fun going out there, just talking to people and doing things like that. But, many hands make the work lighter.
It does.
So yeah, if we can get some people, just go to bornfree.org and check us out. And, we've got a section on there for volunteers. And then we also have a donation page to donate. And like I said, if you're interested in AI or anything like that, because we're a very high tech company. So we're working with AI a lot. So once you get your website up, we can put AI in it for you. So we can totally automate your nonprofit for you and organize it for you, and things like that.
Very nice. Awesome. So it's like all around, all encompassing.
Yeah, because like I said, what we want to do is take as many headaches away from you so you can just focus on your mission. Because what we found is like that stuff it just kind of takes a lot of fun out of it. So you don't want to do it. And what we want to do is take all that stuff that's very important, but people don't want to do it. We do it for you. We automate it with AI and things like that.
Nice.
Which cracks me up. I never thought I would be working with AI. Cause it's so funny when hi, I'm so-and-so. How can I help you? Cause we've got it to a point now where our AI can talk to you, take you through the whole process of like the donation page. They can do the donation and thank you, and then do everything for you and just send you an email that is done.
You ever heard of Monday, the AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's my favorite because he talks shit the whole time. You're like, what the fuck do you want?
Right.
I got it. It's the same thing, but it's like I need that kind of negative reinforcement. Yeah. Sometimes you do it.
Well, and see, that's what it's so nice, because you can make your AI the way you want to talk.
Yeah.
So if you want it to talk like that, it'll talk to you.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
If you want a very professional, you can do it. If you
want something just like a friend, then you need to work on your stuff sometimes. I get it. AI is an interesting tool. I use some of it for sure, some work stuff, but yeah, it's an interesting tool to utilize.
Yeah, and
we're in the age of it. It's like you try to avoid it, you're gonna get lost in the rest of everything.
Oh yeah, no, and it's so funny and that's what we're trying to do, is stay ahead of it.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I really enjoyed today's episode.
Oh, I enjoyed it also.
This is good. This guy's telling me, he's like, I don't even know how to do interviews and stuff, but he's awesome. Love this guy.
Well, this is my first time, so
this is his first time. Awesome. But this was great. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for all the help you've given Triple V and everyone else. I hope everyone gets to jump in to become born free,
That's right. Just be born free, baby. That's what we want you to do. Just be born free, baby.
Be born free. And with that, thank you guys for watching. All right. Out.